Artificial intelligence is changing the way that people write code. For example, there was an update to Visual Studio Code that it reminded me about, and I applied the update, and when I looked at the release notes for this update, it says, yeah, there's changes to Copilot. So GitHub Copilot is the artificial intelligence engine that can help write code. Support for it is built into Visual Studio through the use of extensions, and you can get free access to it if you're a student. Now, whether your coding teachers let you use it or not, that's a matter for every instructor at this point. But if you want to, you can go to github.com/education. If you're enrolled in a university, you can join GitHub Education. You'll have to create a GitHub account. You'll have to turn on multi-factor authentication. They'll make you provide evidence that you're actually a student, like showing the tuition bill or something. So you have to be willing to give GitHub your data. But if you choose to do that, fantastic. You can get access to Copilot for free. And I'll show how that works. Right now, I have not been signed in to my GitHub account, but in the bottom left here in Visual Studio Code, there's a place where I can sign in. So I'm going to close that GitHub for Education. And I'm going to go through this sign-in process. And I want to oh, it's been so long that haven't had to log in for a long time. I'm going to install the extension. I'm going to search for Copilot first. Copilot, GitHub Copilot. Let me expand this. It's been installed 21.7 million times, so that's good. I'm going to install it. Your AI pair programmer. So it's installing. It says sign in with GitHub to use Copilot. So, okay, I'm going to click that link to sign in. Should open up my web browser. And here's we'll have to authenticate. So I'm going to log in right now. Use my password manager to fill in my account information. So if I sign in, it'll ask me for my multi-factor authentication. So I provided my multi-factor authentication. Yep, that's me. So I'm going to continue. Yep, send me back to Visual Studio Code. Try to sign in again to use Copilot. Hopefully it remembers that I signed in. All right, I've got Ask Copilot. Should be running. We should be good to go here. So I'm going to close this extension. I'm going to close the release notes. I'm going to open up my File Explorer. I've got all my Python code here. Let's say I'm going to create a new program x.py, whatever I want it to be. Control I to ask GitHub Copilot to do something. All right. I can also use the Copilot chat over there. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. Create a list with 3 values. 1, 2. You can see it's trying to anticipate what I want, and cat. Print the list. It's making these suggestions right here. Maybe they're not what I want. You can see here it's kind of stuck in the comments. I don't want comments anymore. I want to actually write the code. There we go, that prompt. So my hands were off the keyboard. Now it says, okay, do you want that? I'm going to hit tab. It's like, yep, that's good. That's what I want. So I can use comments to describe what I want this code to do. Like, sure, the next thing I want to do is print the values in that list. Print the values one at a time. So it's going to create a for loop for me. I'm just going to hit tab. I like that. Hit tab again, accept it. That works. So it's anticipating what it thinks I want to do, and it's giving me suggestions. So let's say, hypothetically, I forgot the syntax of how to make a Python dictionary. I could, in a comment, do that, or I could use the Copilot chat to ask it specifically what I want to do. Move some of my stuff out the way. Ask Copilot, create a dictionary with 3 key value pairs. The keys should be A, B, and C. I didn't tell it what values to use, but this is maybe an example, just like a little refresher. There we go. It even gave me some code to print it out. So I can use this button to insert at the cursor. It just created a dictionary with 3 key value pairs. It gave me the correct keys. It put some sample values in there. I might want to change them. But it even gave me a loop. How would I actually loop through those key value pairs? If that's helpful, great. If not, just delete it. So using artificial intelligence, these tools can help us write code. One issue is that sometimes they don't fully understand what we're asking them, and the AI tools might make assumptions that are incorrect. Or they might write some code that has bugs in it. Or there's a lot of reasons why you still have to understand the code that it's writing. If I'm coding professionally, I'm responsible for all code that I'm adding to our organization's source code repository. I need to make sure I understand what it's doing and that it's working appropriately. I shouldn't say, oh, it's not my fault there's a bug in that code. It was ChatGPT's fault, or it was GitHub Copilot's fault. Nope, I'm responsible. It's like putting your name on a document that says, I wrote this content, I'm responsible for it. If there's mistakes, that's on me. So these AI tools are really good. They'll help us write code, they'll help us understand code, but we need to make sure we still have control over what's happening. And by control, I mean, I can go through these lines of code and I can understand what the code is actually doing. So these are some pretty simple examples. But can we hash each element in list 1? All right, I'll tell you that this code is not going to do what you might expect if you're familiar with SHA-256. For example, I'm going to run this code. Like, that's weird. Is that what you expected? Negative 210? Interesting. I'm going to run this again. Different number. Is that what you were expecting? So this is not calculating the SHA-256 hash. It's doing something very different. And so if we're not aware of what this code is doing, this code might look right, but it might be doing something unexpected. So as a challenge, see if you can figure out why did Copilot include this hash function here. Instead of using the hash lib functions, it will take some looking at the documentation, figuring out what does this hash function actually do versus when we import hashlib, what do those hash functions do? All right, so we got to be in control even when we're using AI tools, but they can help us be more productive. Feel free to sign up for a GitHub account, register with GitHub for Education. That will give you free access to GitHub Copilot. It is currently powered by OpenAI's most advanced AI models, so it's pretty good, but like all AI tools, it's not perfect.